All right, calling Board of Health meeting to order. Today is January 7th, 2025, and it's 6 o'clock. Everybody's in attendance, including Gary Magnuson. First order of business, acceptance of prior meeting minutes. This says for October 8th, but I believe we have November 12th here. I'm assuming that the October 8th meeting minutes have been approved. So we'll work on the November 12th. Do I have a motion on that?
So, just to be clear, it's the November 12th minutes?
Yes.
Okay, and then that was just discussing the minutes prior. Yeah, I make a motion, we accept November 12th meeting
Second.
minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed. Thank you.
Just clarifying that.
Thanks. Moving on to new business. It's brought to my attention that Homey Collective Campout for 2025 is scheduled to be at 508 International off Brookfield Road in Charlton again this year. For those of you who don't know, there was an event, 4 days, Homey Collective Campout, August 1st through August 4th, 2024, at 508 International. This board found out about it, or I should say Jim found out about it the Thursday, I think that was August 1st, when a request for a permit for 52 porta potties came in, so we were kind of blindsided by that. But part of the reason for bringing this up is because this is 4 days of camping at a place that does not have a campground permit. Is that correct, Jim?
There's no, I mean, he applied originally for a primitive campground like the Boy Scouts go there, which we didn't make a big deal about. But some of the people do bring their own campers, which are self-contained. During, I think, your last event that you had, that they have their own, 40 gallons or whatever. Nothing was cast upon the ground or anything. So I think Russ assured that it didn't dump or anything. So a lot of people bring those to events. I wouldn't call it camping, but they're staying there because they don't leave the event, stays later.
Right. But I guess my concern is that, I'm looking at this. This was advertised on November 29th. I got a screen grab from this. And there's camping in the woods. There's hilltop glamping. There's RV parking. There's also, interestingly enough, American Disability Act camping. So there's a special area, ADA FAM camp. And the problem with that is, again, if you don't have a campground permit and you've got hundreds of people spending multiple nights there camping, I'm just concerned that the area's not permitted for camping.
Point of order.
Sure.
Mr. Chair. What date are they scheduled to?
It's not. It just says it is scheduled for. Let me read it.
I mean, I own 508.
Yeah.
I just happened to find out about the Homey Collective Campout 2025 being posted, and if there's a Bible around, I can swear on it that there's no scheduled date for these folks.
Right. And I
don't have anything
Mhm.
in the works with them. I have not talked with them about a date.
Okay.
Okay, so anything that you're discussing is merely, conjecture, just speculative. It's
Right.
not, anybody can post anything on their websites,
Sure.
not associated with myself, and, naturally I have nothing to do with it, and I can't say anything about it, so.
But you would think that if they, because it says right here, where is this festival held? And it says the Homey Collective Campout 2025 takes place at 508 International in Charlton, Mass. Next, does this festival offer camping? Yes! Exclamation point. You can camp at the Homey Collective Campout 2025. And then it talks about camping checklist, including camping stove, cookware, gas containers.
I mean, if you want to have a discussion with them, you should call them up and have them come to the meeting and discuss the, non-event at 508.
Sure. Well, we could do that.
I take you for your word, John. I don't believe you're lying to me about what's on your screenshot there,
Right.
but, you know, just.
And, no,
if
you're
there's no
absolutely
event,
right.
There's no event.
Yep,
At
there's
this
no
time.
event scheduled yet.
Right.
But it sure sounds like they're leaning towards it, and I just wanted to make sure that if this was something that was scheduled, that, number one, we're not blindsided literally 4 hours before hundreds of people start showing up for a 4-day campout. But also the fact that I'm just wondering if it's even legal to have hundreds of people, 4 days, a 4-day campout on a facility that does not have campground permit. It's not ADA compliant. I don't think they have the facilities, and forget the facilities, they're not permitted for a campground, so.
Well, they were offering ADA
Right.
campsites in their thing. Not that we're having them, but, you know, just
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, I mean, it's, the more I read into this, I'm like, wait a minute, you know, how's that possible?
well, I think that if they're, first of all, the way it works is people lease the venue from us. Homie Collective Campout 2024, let's call it for sake of argument,
Yeah,
whether it was that or not. They lease the venue through us. They're responsible to do their due diligence, come to this board, pull all their permits with the town, so on and so forth, which whether or not they did or did not as of last year at this point in time, and I'm not here to discuss that with you, okay? What I am saying is, if they are going to have an event, I would direct them, just like any other customer of ours, to your board, to the director, and say, hey, this is the direction you need to go in, these are the permits you need to pull, this is what you need to do, this is your due diligence with the town. From there, you know, it's on them, so.
well, they didn't, as far as I know, they didn't contact this office for the 2024 event, I don't believe, right, Jim? I mean,
Again, I would argue differently with you, but I'm not, I don't think it serves us any good purpose to argue about an event that happened when you're looking to discuss future events that haven't even been scheduled or may not even happen. I
Right.
mean,
so you wouldn't have a problem if this board or Jim or somebody contacted them and?
Not at
just-
all.
Okay, okay.
no. Nope. You need their number, I'll gladly give it to you.
Yes.
So, I'm just curious, but what is, like, from the Board of Health's point of view, what is our issue with it? That they're camping, or are we concerned about what they do with the toilets? Or, like, I'm just saying, like, if it's not zoned there, that's really not a Board of Health issue. If they're camping in an area that they're not supposed to camp, that's really not a Board of Health issue that I know of. So I'm just trying to see, like, as far as this, like, if they're dumping sewerage, emptying campers out, that is clearly a Board of Health. Or even if they have porta potties without permits, that could fall under Prevy. But I'm just curious, how is the Board of Health, why are we concerned about this, I guess is.
Well, you got hundreds of people out there for round the clock. And the music, yes, woke me up every night, in the middle of the night, 1:30, 2 o'clock every night. But it's camping. It's camping at 508 International that does not have campground permit approval.
But is that a Board of Health issue?
Yes.
The camping is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's no different than somebody leasing out a room and somebody else leasing says, oh, I'm gonna have a 4-day restaurant here. You know? Yes, Jim?
Sharing through you, I think the question is, events do, like, if you have motocross events, or you have a race, or some events, or you have the Big E, people do stay there in campers. They don't have a campground, but they have an entertainment license that would stay there, and it's expected. Are they licensed as a campground? No, because it's an event. It's not a campground, so I think this board would have to make a decision whether you designate because someone's there for 4 days or an event, or they're applying for a campground, which in the beginning, and Russ and I did discuss it, they gave them the regulations. but I think the event, sometimes people do stay there. And when I do an inspection, my concern is it's not regulated as a campground, it's an event that people are staying in, what you would determine as a camper, but really, it's not a campground, they're just habitating there because they have to stay with their booth or whatever, and the event gets over. And that's something that I think has gone through the planning board, and they've approved those events up till certain late hours. So if someone's drinking at an event, I don't think we should encourage them to drive either. So you have to look at what the board would decide, that if they want a full campground event for the next event, that would be very difficult to you need a septic system, a gray water, you need all the dumping stations, or is it just allowing them to stay there for an event? So I think there's a gray line there.
Well, and if I could, again, through the chair, you know, there's a term that's widely used throughout the country in many different locations, and I'm sure you're all very familiar with it at Walmart's. Walmart's encourage overnight parking for their customers, and even for non-customers. Provides a safe overnight spot for people who are traveling. They may come to the Walmart, they may shop, and then say, hey, we're just gonna crash here for the night, and then move on the next day. Some of our customers take advantage of overnight parking. They may be coming from Ohio, Pennsylvania, come and visit us for the day, overnight park, and move on to Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, other parts of the country, go wherever. It's a widely used term. It's a widely used situation. We do not charge camping fees. We do not have dump stations. We do not have facilities. We are not a campground. We
No,
don't
but you
offer
do
campground.
have overnight parking fee.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On certain events,
Right.
we have overnight
Yeah.
parking fees for race weekends, because what we need to do is we need to station people at the gate so that we can check them in. And unless we charged an overnight parking fee, naturally that would run us into a huge expense, having someone at the gate 24 hours a day.
Mhm.
So to offset the cost, which there's no legal ramifications against charging for overnight parking, we do so. But typically, we do not. It's just on race weekends.
But you're talking overnight parking. It's my understanding that overnight parking is where, we'll use Walmart as an example. People pull in, they're traveling to Maine, they can't make it back to Maine, so they're gonna pull into the Sturbridge Walmart, and they're gonna park there overnight. So what
Sure.
they do is they pull in, they might set their levelers up or whatever, they go into their RV, and then they go to sleep, wake up the next morning, take off.
Who's to say that they leave?
Well, I don't know.
Well,
Maybe they don't.
maybe
But I don't think they're setting up camp stoves and cooking and washing dishes and everything else out there either. I mean, outside.
Well, you know, honestly, John, I have an overnight park at a Walmart, so I can't tell you, but
Well-
I can tell you, you're free to overnight park the 508 anytime you want.
No, you've got a no trespass order against me.
No, I don't. That's not in effect.
Yeah, it was last I knew, although you had one of the properties misidentified, but that's here or there.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So, the overnight parking, right?
Yeah.
So, if we took Mass Pike, 6 East and 6W, they have overnight parking in that parking lot every single night, 365 days a year.
Mhm.
Do we consider them and treat them like a campground? Whatever that means, and I don't know what it means, but I'm just saying, there's a situation, and it's known that they're throwing urine and feces right out the window, and hypodermic needles, and all of it's out there. But that happens 365 days a year, and besides this board trying to do our due diligence to keep it as clean as possible, we've never accused them of camping or tried to put in camping rules. So I'm not really here to argue, I'm just trying to keep the rules fair for everybody. But there's a scenario where this town allows it 365 days a year.
Well, it's out of our jurisdiction. We've tried to give them some rules and regulations, and we've been told, no, this is in Charlton, but you don't have jurisdiction. Am I correct?
Not correct in that.
No, that can't be right, because you were over there, and you got on them about cleaning the place up, so you gotta have some jurisdiction.
Yeah,
We do have the
We
jurisdiction.
do have jurisdiction over them because they're privately owned, they're not state-owned. State buildings, we don't have authority over a state building. This is not considered, even though it's manned and operated, it's owned by McDonald's Corporation, which is privately owned. So we get them, as far as vehicles, I cannot enforce vehicles overnight at the Mass Pike. They do dump out stuff, as Matt said, and contribute to it, but these are transitory people who are traveling far, far away, and this is designed for people to pull off for safety reasons, for fueling, for shelter, and use of restrooms.
But there's nobody, the police, how many, somebody could stay
It
there
would be
for
the
a week.
state, it would be the state police
Yeah.
that would, and the state police won't enforce it,
Oh.
according to the highway supervisor there, Mr. Ostrowski. They're there for safety reasons, if there's road hazards or whatever. And remember, truckers have to stop and stay there because they log, and then over the time, they have to have somewhere to go to stop and stay. And who am I as the health director to say, get out, like, you know,
John,
Yes,
if I may.
go ahead.
So, I feel like if the board really wanted to look into this, and I'm not saying we do or we don't, but if we really wanted to look into it, it comes down to the definition, right? So, is an event, would that, if you had an event, could that be considered camping, right? Well, I feel like it's the same thing where we talk about public water supplies, where if you feed more than 25 people, but you can do it 30 events a year and not be a public water supply, like a church or other things. So I just think it's, I think the answer would be in the definition of whatever it is we're looking at. And if it's camping, what defines camping? And where do we say this is it camping? No, this is an event, it's not camping. Is it the number of days? Is it the number of events per year? Is it? So I think that may be where the answer is, and I don't have the answer, but there's other things this board regulates, like the public water supply, that yes, you can have more than the allowed number of people, but if you don't have it X amount of times a year, then no, you're not considered public water supply, as an example.
I think the way to do this, Jim, can you contact, is it Cheryl Sabara? Who's the legal one?
the sheriff's bar.
Okay.
I think if they applied for a camping, I mean, he has the right to apply for a camping permit, and he'd have to comply with the regulations. There's also allowed primitive camping, like Boy Scouts and stuff, which we talked about, is allowed. Like in Sturbridge, the overnight camping thing, it's allowed at Cracker Barrel. It's not allowed at Walmart anymore, because their board voted to ban overnight parking, or their town, or I have selectmen, but they don't allow it. But Cracker Barrel does allow people to stop and stay, and that's their
Wait,
policy.
how can Walmart, this town of Sturbridge said no for Walmart, but
Yes,
okay for
because
Cracker Barrel?
their agreement with the planning board when they originally applied was
Oh.
that they wouldn't allow it because of that open area. But people still do it,
Oh, yeah.
and the police, I don't know if it's, how much it's enforced, but certainly I think with this, I don't have an application for a campground. I know there are events held and people stay, but like I said, you have to take into consideration the event itself. And is it considered camping because someone stays overnight at a place like Matt made that certain thing about the Mass Pike, which is true. You have to have somewhere where people do, or their transit and travel, that stop, and it'd be up to this board to decide that if you're gonna ban overnight camping or whatever. I don't know if it's camping if someone's at an event. Yes, they're in a camper, and so you get to perceive that, but you'd have to have dumping stations, you'd have to have a campground regulations, compliance, all that, and that's not something that they have.
Mhm.
So I'm at a little bit of a loss, because I can't enforce the camping thing. And I know this, I didn't even see that about this camping thing that's going on. Like, they would have to come in and tell me what they're doing, and I have to come before the board and say they can't comply. And would you give a variance for them to stay for a week if the Boy Scouts were there with 100 people and they wanted to sleep in tents? It's called primitive camping. It is allowable, but you'd have to make sure there's portable toilets and stuff like that, because they're not in vehicles. So there's a mixture of a lot of stuff. Is this board gonna prohibit if you have 50 or 100 Boy Scouts there, which you've had before,
Mhm.
and he's called and spoke to me? I don't think, does this board wanna prohibit that? I know that's up to the 3 members of the board. so.
Well, I would still like to get a legal definition, not
I will
definition, but
call her and present her with the situation. And
I will
express-
send this to you and I can send it to the other board members.
I can have Kim pull it up. Is it on your website?
No.
Or it's on?
No, this is something that November 29th, I went out and I saw this, so I did some screenshots from
Yeah.
from a couple of
Send,
sites.
send it over and I'll call and, but.
Okay. And if they're okay with it, you know, then they're okay with it. But
Well,
at
I
least
think
we'll
it's
know.
more what this board is okay with, rather than what the state, because we have to present them something that's really not, may happen or did happen, or because I know I've spoken to her before, but she looks at it as, look at the Big E. Are we gonna throw people out that bring a camper that are there, that are serving food for 2 weeks? No. The city of Springfield is lenient, their board has allowed them to stay there, but they have to come around with the big blues and they dump and they have a truck come by and pump people out to protect public health and safety, but they feel that's the decision this board will make for venues. This is a venue event.
The truth of the matter is, that's a good spot to have the camping. It's off, it's out of sight, it's out of mind. The noise, that's a different complaint, John, and
That's
and
another-
we're
that's
not
another
talk-
story.
that's another story. But the camping, I don't see who it hurts. I personally,
I don't either.
I just don't see what the problem is, but.
Well, they're also advertising shower stations, which is fine, I guess. I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
Assuming it goes into a tight tank and then somebody hauls it off.
It's a
just like
collected
they
area,
would
and
a
he has,
porta-potty.
the place up on the hill there, they come and they had the tank there, they took it out. None of that gray water entered the ground.
Yeah. So, and I don't know how they're doing public water for whatever, 1,000 people.
That was brought in also.
That's probably a moneymaker, it's probably boiled water.
Yeah. Or, you know, a tanker truck of
I
whatever.
mean, this board has to let me know what you want. I'll check on that.
Yeah,
but
just
I
broach it.
think that
I'll send you this and
This is
just
a
check with
perceived
Cheryl.
event that's not posted on his website, so we monitor websites for 508.
Yeah.
And if it's not on there, there's no way for us to really know. And like I said, he had one event that we found out about. We did end up going down with police, fire, and myself. They set up the event. We made some adjustments to how they were operating and felt at the end that we did have some problems with noise. I think that's the event you're talking about.
Mhm.
And, but I do believe that the planning board gave him permit to operate 24/7, correct? So that's what I have to go by.
Oh, one other thing, there was an entertainment license that was done for 508 Base LLC through the Board of Selectmen, is that right, for last year? No? No. I thought I saw something.
What is it?
An entertainment license for, and I don't know where it is, I should call it up, and it doesn't matter at this point.
I
But,
did- I
Go
did
ahead.
check with the planning board in the last event about what is allowed to do, and it's quite broad, so I think that, I think it said 24/7, correct? That is
Yeah,
what
the
events can
planning
be
board,
held.
and then the entertainment license said only till, I think, 10 o'clock, so maybe it was something different. Curiously, though, this permit was for 508 Base LLC, which was dissolved December 2022. So I called it up, and this is on the state website. So I called up 508 International LLC, same thing. So those entities were dissolved back a little over 2 years ago now. I don't know if you were aware of that, but, so. And at the time, so this entertainment permit was granted, I think, in early 2024 by the, I believe it was the Board of Selectmen. State laws say that you have to have an entertainment license granted every year, and at that point, then you can do stipulations like no loud noise after 10 o'clock or whatever.
I monitor the noise level. When there's a complaint, I go out there and set it up. And,
Well, I can tell you, if you're out there, if this is going on this year, I'll invite you over and we can sit outside. You don't even have to. I can feel it through my
I have a
pillow.
video, the last time I sat outside, the only thing I could hear, I'm being honest, was the trucks going by on, what's, the Podunk Pike there,
49?
49. And I sat outside the gate, and then I sat outside the front. And I sat there for an hour with my wife, each time, each
Yeah.
gate, which is 2 hours total. And, I know it might have happened later, but while I was there at the time of my inspection, I didn't hear anything.
Did you get
I
an?
think that, you know, having the group that put on the festival last year, the Homey Collective, we as venue operators learned a lot from that and would do a lot of things differently. We would have them operate the event differently. And the last thing we want is John to have a free concert at his house. We want him to come up and, you know, visit the venue and enjoy the concert there, not, you know, try and stand in his driveway and listen here. But, you know, moving forward, we certainly don't want anyone to be able to know it's going on without actually being there.
One of the abutters that's right next door to your mom, I got the police reports. She was pretty upset.
Right.
Even the police report.
That's the
She was-
last thing I want is my direct neighbor to be disturbed.
Yeah.
I just don't want that to
And
happen.
I think it was also
So-
because she's got a couple of kids still living at home, but, and I
I
haven't
think her
talked to her.
dog, I did speak with her,
Mhm.
and her dog was set off by it. And, you know, whether it's vibration or naturally, dogs hear a lot better than we do. But anyways, we don't want that moving forward, and we're looking to resolve any issues in the past and the future so that there's not the repeated situations, so.
Okay.
What's the name of the event, John?
Homey Collective Campout, 2025. I think if you call it up, actually, if you called it up right now, it would bring up this on a Google search, believe it or not. I checked it out, see if there was anything new before I came to the meeting, and it shows up Board of Health as an action item for tonight on a Google search. Can you believe it?
I don't see him out there.
What's that?
I don't see the homies.
Yeah.
I think it's the same guy,
Yeah.
Charlie.
Charlie. Yeah.
You may or may not still have his number, but,
I have his number.
okay.
Yeah. I know.
Well, I would suggest you just call Cheryl and just see what she says, and maybe just send her the info that I've got. You can tell her, you know, it happened last year, there were some issues, it may or may not happen this year, we just wanna know where we stand. Yes?
I can call her, I just want to be clear of what you want me to ask her, because there's no camping permit for them.
Right.
So this is a board's decision
Okay,
of what you're going to allow and not allow, to give me direction as director. But there, he does have a permit from the town to operate an event there. So we have to, what authority do we have as far as what he's doing? Noise is definitely an issue, you know, dumping of water, all that stuff. I make sure, I think the last time the homies were there, I ended up going up and speaking. I talked to Russ about being more upfront when there's events, we have time to make sure we can issue the permits to do stuff and it's not last minute. But I don't think there's a camping, we have to decide, is you defining what they're doing as camping, so I can direct it to Cheryl, or is it just an event that they're there for? That's,
Can I ask
yeah,
something?
sure.
And I'm backing up the cart, I don't mean to, but I keep hearing about this last minute and everything, for some event of Homey 2024, but weren't there like permits pulled and everything in place prior to? I mean, they were in full compliance the whole time. As far as, were they, am I missing something? Were they out of compliance with pulling permits? Because if they're not, I don't know why we're even talking about it, because if they were in compliance the whole time, they were in compliance.
Go ahead, Jim.
they needed permits for the mobile food trucks that they didn't have. They needed permits for the porta potties they didn't have. We ended up,
I thought they had permits for the porta potties.
or we were gonna shut them down if they didn't get the permits.
Everything was like the day before.
Yeah.
So the day before, is that illegal?
No, that's the thing. if we were to have this again, I would think they would have to come and speak with us, we could have more information up front, because Jim and I were going the day before and inspecting everything.
Mhm.
The issue with the mobile food was a few came in maybe the week prior, but it didn't say the event name. So 508 has events all the time, you know, you have the motocross racing, this and that. To us, it just looked like maybe another motocross or you know, Jeep event. To us, we didn't know that's what it was. So it just was a lack of time for us to properly issue permits and to inspect.
We didn't, it wasn't on his website, it was on some other,
Yeah.
so we monitored his website. We didn't know until,
His website said closed for 4 days.
It wasn't our event, that's.
Oh, right, right. Yeah, that's why you wouldn't see it.
they did end up complying, as Matt would say. In the end, were they complying? Yes. In my definition, but if John's thinking that it's over in the camping, then that's where the gray line is. But I think it's an event that people stay at and have the self-contained units in the vehicles. It wasn't like they were dumping them on the ground, and that's, I think, the issue we wouldn't allow.
Well, just during our discussion, John, as far as I'm concerned right now, there's no event posted, and
Yeah.
I feel, from my 2 cents sitting in this seat, that this board should take no action at this time. That's how I feel. I don't say we call Cheryl Sabara, I don't say we do anything, because it's a moot point, because there's nothing brought before us to even discuss.
Other than the fact that somebody's advertising that it's gonna be sometime this summer at 508 International.
I see the potentials there, and I understand that it happened last year, so it's probably good. We also have the landowner sitting in front of us saying there's nothing scheduled.
Right.
And I can tell you that as soon as I have a discussion with anybody about having an event such as this, they're gonna have a discussion with you guys. Or I'm just gonna call Jim and be like, hey, listen, this person's gonna be calling you. And again, you know, just like last year, I can say to Charlie, head homie, I can say, here's Jim's number, call him up. You gotta get this permit, you gotta make sure your food trucks are in compliance, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. Does he call? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he calls 2 days before his event. I'm not that guy making the phone call. I'm not the guy who knows how many porta potties he has, how many food trucks he has, or know who he has for food trucks. It's his obligation. He's gotta call, he's gotta do his due diligence. I can only send him the information and say, this is what you need to do, and if you're not in compliance, it's gonna shut you down. And that's the way it is. And that's how I operate with them, because I can't be the guy doing all of that, otherwise it's my event. And there'd be no need for them to have their own insurance, and I'd just be going crazy doing all of that stuff for them, so.
Yeah, you're not the promoter.
Right, so, and, you know, like you told Jim, fire department, police department, they're out of order, call them, tell them, warn them. If you're gonna shut them down, call me, let me know, I'll try and help them get in compliance. If they don't, shut them down, that's all.
Steve, anything else?
No, I agree with Matt. I think at this point, I don't even know why we're talking about it, because it's just it's a hearsay thing. I mean, we've just wasted 45 minutes of our lives we'll never get back, because it may not even happen.
It may not. All right, then we'll table that. I'll keep monitoring to see when and if this is gonna happen. It may be like a lot of these other ones that just get canceled. They've got a whole list. You go out there, musicwizard.com or whatever, they've got a list of everything that was canceled in 2024 for various reasons. And some that are already canceled for
At
2025.
508?
No,
Oh,
this is
just-
worldwide.
Oh.
They're Australia, Maryland, California, Utah, you name it. It's a huge site. But this one, this Homey Collective, is also on there, not for 2025 yet. All right, thank you, Russ, for coming in. And
Anytime.
Yes,
Give
sir.
me the invite if you guys see anything with my name on it that has come before that I don't know of. So,
okay, very good.
thank you.
Thank
Were
you,
you,
Good night.
just if I can ask, were you notified on this?
No.
From the office about this event? So don't we typically, if we have somebody come into a Board of Health meeting, don't we usually reach out to that person, a client, to let them know.
To be honest, Matt, this is the first time I looked at it, my apology.
Yeah.
Look at the agenda, I didn't know it was on.
Because
there.
I got the agenda, I saw it, and, but usually, usually we don't even discuss something without,
No, you can't, you're right. If you're
Somebody
gonna
being
discuss
there.
someone, they have the right to be present. In other words, if I was talking about something that already happened, or if you're gonna have someone and discuss a business, they must be invited so they can represent themselves.
right, so in this case, we were
He's the
gonna,
wrong guy.
well, we were having a discussion about his facility, but he didn't know about it. So, usually this board's pretty good about notifying people when we're gonna be talking
Yeah,
about
usually
it.
if there's someone, I'll make a phone call, or Andrew will email it over to the person, but I don't know if she sent it to Homey Collection, I'll have to ask her tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, maybe they were the ones,
Because Andrew's pretty good about
yeah, no, she is.
sending this
Maybe
out.
they canceled the.
But I apologize, but I didn't even, to be honest, I was wondering why Russ was here.
Yeah,
Because
well,
I didn't look at it.
Well, I saw it, so it's,
My apologies, I
You
should.
saw it on the agenda,
yeah,
so you're uninvited.
I'm on the watch list with John, so, different watch list, but.
Stay warm.
Take care.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Old business. Gary Magnuson is here to talk about Flint Road landfill and PFAS. Or actually, Jim would be PFAS, I think, but that's fine.
I'll
We'll
be right
start
back.
with
I can use the restroom.
You good? Yeah. All right. Hello. Haven't been here in a couple months,
Neither
which is
have we.
good. You haven't either? That's good. I have 6 items. We'll go through relatively quick and then take any questions. So I'd say the biggest thing that happened that you guys haven't had a lot of involvement is we submitted the permit to DEP for the capping of the landfill. We received a notice of technical deficiency from DEP over the summer, which is the way that Mass DEP does things. If you submit a report or a permit application and they have 3 or 4 or 7 questions, rather than call you up and say, hey, let's address these 7 questions, they write a technical deficiency letter. And so we received that technical deficiency letter. Bruce Haskell, the engineer we're working with on this, and I went over it and reviewed it. Sat down with Andrew and Jim a couple months ago, 3 months ago, went over the technical deficiency issues. Many of them were just that. Without getting into the weeds, the plan calls for capping the landfill up to basically Flint Road. There's some telephone poles on that side of Flint Road. DEP had questions about how we're gonna boot those telephone poles and what happens if the poles need to be replaced, and just technical things that they wanted clarified. No big deal, typical stuff. One of the more concerning ones was the first technical deficiency was that we noted in all these reports that there is a possibility that there's a very small amount of landfill debris, blow over, excess material on the abutter's property. When I say a very small amount, we did test pits all around the property. DEP was there with us. The landfill debris is 99.9% contained within your property. There's a few little slopes where a tire is rolled down the slope and is in the neighbor's property. DEP has requested that the abutter also apply for the same permit that you are applying for as a town. Bruce Haskell said, we're not doing that. And we agree that that's not the right way to handle it. So that's the largest technical thing, because the one abutter is the Jackson, I was gonna say Johnson, Jackson's. And we already have an access agreement from them to be able to pull tires back and do what we need to do. So this technical deficiency response went in. We've been communicating with DEP back and forth, so this should get approved. And we should have a permit in the spring. So should be, if it works the way we expect, sometime this spring, we should be getting a permit or getting another response, and we'll just get back to them. But and then we would be ready to go out to bid late spring, early summer, and then start the project at a timeline that works for the municipality. So permit, application, response, things are going smooth. no bumps in the road right now. Just leave that on the back burner there. That was number one.
Can I cut in, John? You mind if I ask Gary?
Yeah, sure.
So as we go out to bid, Gary, funding, do we as a town have the projected funding for this project in place already? Or do we have to, I know we have some funds, but like if we had, do we have what we feel is enough money to cover this project? Or do we put it out to bid, get the real number, and then scramble and then try and get the funds? Like how does the funding process work?
Teflon going that way, but yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Sure.
may. We've gone through FinCom and have been approved to borrow up to $2 million at this point.
Okay.
The other money has already been, I had appropriated in my budget for engineering, for, monitoring of the landfill, mowing, things that would do third-party inspection. As far as the closure of 54, we have, when we're ready, Andrew has approval to go out and get that.
The 2 million.
So we estimate they approved up to 2 million. Whether we're gonna need that or not, we don't know. It's gonna take from COM 97.
Yeah, so that's the real.
It's an
thing.
estimate.
Yeah, so, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, and I don't wanna misspeak. 40,000, 50,000 yards of material coming in. So when it gets bid, and Bruce, we can speak a little closer and tighten up these estimates, but what's probably gonna happen is it's gonna get bid, you're gonna see what that number is, you're gonna see what the credit is for the material coming in. Look at the delta and see if you have enough money to do the project. Obviously, if you don't, you'll have to go get a little bit more, but at this point, my understanding is there should be enough. At this
Okay.
point, the way it sits right now, there's nothing, this is a very standard closure. There's nothing radical here, there's nothing very crazy out of line expense. And the market for the COM 97 is good. So that credit, when we get a little closer and figure out where that goes, we'll have a real discussion on what that number's gonna be, how that's gonna get handled. There's all kinds of different ways to make that work. But we're not there yet.
Okay, Gary, what's the standard for a yard of this material? $10, $15 a yard?
So it all goes by tonnage.
Yeah.
No, it's more than that. It's north of 30
Okay.
right now. So, but it'll change. It'll change. It really depends on the market, the types of soils, feasibility, access. There's all kinds of issues that come into play. Bottom line, you're allowed under this permit to accept COM 97-001 materials into that landfill to make the grading and shaping that we need to get the shape appropriate to cap the landfill. So we'll have when we go out to bid, we expect X tons. We'll have it figured out even closer than it is now. We have a cut and fill, and like I said, I don't want to misspeak. 42 or 52,000 yards is the number. 1.5, so it's somewhere in the range of 60,000 tons.
Okay.
So it's a significant amount of money.
Mhm.
But there's an issue with, there's a street rate for that, what somebody would pay to get rid of it. But then the contractor has a cost to handle that, manage that. You guys have a cost to do we have to approve the stuff in. So if they're paying 30, you're not getting 30. You're getting a difference. You're getting a lesser amount of that.
Right.
But that'll all be in the contract, and there's a whole bunch of ways to handle that. And we'll get there when we get
Right,
closer.
I know. The reason why I
But there
brought
is
that up-
something coming back.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this before, I just couldn't remember the
It's
rough
multiple
approximate dollars.
hundreds of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
will be coming off the price.
Mhm.
We just don't know exactly what it is right now. But, so on this item, it's smooth, it's going well, there's no big concerns on our end. And DEP hasn't expressed any significant concerns right now.
Okay.
My number 2 item is landfill monitoring. We just did the semi-annual monitoring of both landfills in late December. Most of that data is not in yet, nothing shocking, everything's the same. My 3rd item is surface water sampling. We did an evaluation to try to find out from a PFAS perspective. Right now, you're obligated by Mass DEP to do surface water sampling around both landfills. At 54 Flint Road landfill, you're obligated to collect 2 surface water samples. At 90, you're obligated to collect 4, so for a total of 6 for those 2 landfills. The most interesting thing we've learned is the most upgradient monitoring point, upgrading of 90, which is clearly upgrading of 54, has the highest concentration of PFAS in the surface water. So we did a study, we collected, I want to say, 14 samples. So what we did is we looked at how that stream flows and all those wetlands flow, and we started at the bottom, and we worked our way backwards, and we collected PFAS stream samples. The data's not in yet, trying to find out where the PFAS is coming from. Clearly, some of it's coming from the landfill, because we have PFAS concentrations in the uncapped landfill around 400 to 600, in the capped landfill around 100 to 200. But yet we have surface water concentrations coming onto the landfill property in the 50 to 100 range and leaving the property in the 30 range. So something's a little weird. And now we have like 4 sets of that data. So we did some testing, upgrading it to find out where this surface water.
It's obvious PFAS runs uphill.
Yeah.
Item number 3.
That's how I see it.
Well, we're gonna have some science to support it, because we know which way the water's flowing. Item number 4 is the downhole hole testing, but let's do that one last, because I think it's easier. Item number 5 is reduced sampling. Right now, you're obligated to test, when I say reduced sampling, not reduced sampling at the landfill. Your testing of the groundwater monitoring wells and the surface water at the landfill is stationary. That's not gonna change. It's actually going to change when the landfill gets capped. We're going to put new wells in, because couple of the current wells at 54 are actually in the landfill. That's not allowed. We have to put replacement ones at the edge. But don't worry about that now. That's miles away. So the testing of the groundwater monitoring wells at the landfills and surface water stays. The town is obligated to do testing of residential properties for VOCs, volatile organic compounds, 1,4-dioxin, and PFAS. The VOCs, we're going to reach out to DEP and dramatically reduce that. We're only doing it of like 12 homes, but we just haven't had any detections in years. So we're going to put a request in to reduce, maybe even eliminate that. The 1,4-dioxin, very much under control, very stable. Few houses have it, low concentrations. We're putting a request in to reduce that testing. Some of these have already been reduced to semi-annual. We're going to try to get them to annual or completely reduced. And on the PFAS testing, we've spoken with DEP. Once we get 4 quarters of non-detect, we can put a request in to try to go to semi-annual in those homes. So you're sampling 74 homes right now. Some of them, about 25 of those are non-detect, and consistently non-detect. So we're going to get those to semi-annual. So all this, we've talked to DEP about it. It's in the works. Try to get that reduced sampling. It's not done and approved yet, but there's a process we're doing. So we're working on that. There's no point in conducting quarterly data for years and years and years and years if it shows nothing. You can still protect the environment, human health, and protect those people by going semi-annual or annual. So that's what we're working on. So that was item 5. Item 6 is the systems that are in place, the drinking water systems. They're working well. We reached out, I spoke with Andrea last month, and we eliminated the bottled water supply to the homes that have the drinking water systems that have proven that they're working effectively. DEP allows you to do that once you document that the system is effectively removing PFAS. So that's been done. Spoken with one of the homeowners. He was like, "Really? I have to reduce my water?" I said, "Yeah, you don't. No, you had your well before. We found some contaminant in it. We took the contaminant out. You have to go back and drink your well. If you want bottled water, you have to provide it yourself. From a DEP perspective, we've met the criteria. We're not providing water any longer."
John, can I
Yes, go ahead.
Gary, what's the count on the filtration systems that we're putting in for this project? Roughly.
4. 1, 2, 4.
4 poets?
4 poets. Yeah, 1 on Old Town Road, 2 on
Burlingame?
Burlingame and 1 on Dresser Hill.
Okay.
Yep. And books, the 500-foot radius, we haven't touched it. We're inside it, nothing, the outer ones are not tripping.
Thank goodness.
So that's that. Downhole testing. You guys had asked me, Steve, you had focused on this of, and I've only done one. I was gonna do one this week, but it didn't, I had a staff that was sick, so we need, it takes 2 of us to do it. Actually, Jeff, you wanna share that one with me? So, I got it. So what I did is at 15 Old Town Road, which is the town's dog pound, we opened up the well cap on, so if you look at this report on October 23rd, 2024, we tested, and this is just a cut. So up top is that highlighted number is the total PFAS-6. So that's taking the PFAS-6 regulated compounds, adding them together. And if you look at it, the outside tap, which is where we sample for 15 Old Town Road, back in January was at 11.4, in April was at 6.28, in July was at 11.4, and in October was at 7.5. On the exact same day, 10 minutes after I collected that sample, we opened the well, and we couldn't get a PFAS-free piece of tubing down the well because the depth of water was around 35 feet. So what I did is used a PFAS-free baler, which is a HDPE, high-density polyethylene baler. We were able to drop it down, pull a sample up. So what I did is I personally did this, grabbed the sample from the water in the well casing. There's a well casing drilled into the ground, and then after that it's an open borehole. So I grabbed a sample from 35 to 40 feet, put that in the same container, sent it off to the lab. That came back at 11.1. The one next to it that says BRL, that's a blank. We're obligated to do a blank sample every time to make sure we don't have cross-contamination. So what this tells me, one well, one point in time, is you're at about 7.5 out of the tap. So Steve, that's the one running through the plumbing, the pump, the pipe, and you're at 11.1 in the well.
How can that be?
It's about the same number. It's not a big difference. That 11 to 7.5, that's not a big difference. What that tells me is the pump is probably down, probably, you know better than me, Steve, but at least 100 feet, right?
Over there, I'm sure they're all down 300 plus.
Right. So for everybody with Steve, because Steve understands this better than any of us, the open borehole is just a drilled 6-inch hole in the rock, and that hole has fractures that take water. So if you picture an imperfect world, that hole is drilled in the ground, it has one fracture. Only one place the water comes in. And let's say that fracture's at 300 feet. And if that's fractured at 300 feet, the well fills up to static level, wherever the water around it is, which is 35 feet. But all the water's coming from 300 feet. If the well pumps at 300, it's getting water right out of that. There's no dilution, nothing else going on. Or there's other fractures that are feeding it dilution.
That's it,
Yeah,
That's where
it's other fractures. So I sampled the top because I just physically can't get down the well,
that's all you do.
Yeah. So my understanding of the board's request to do this is to see if the piping, the plumbing in the well, not necessarily in the house. It's not the house. It's the
Well, you were
dog
collecting
pound.
them in the basement or in the house, right?
Normally,
So
we try to collect as
all the distribution, it's all involved. So.
Right, we're trying to collect it. Our first sample, we either try to collect at the kitchen sink or at a boiler valve down in the basement at the expansion tank. But sometimes if those are old, we don't open them
Yeah, you don't want to touch them.
because they'll never close. So we go to the kitchen sink because that's where they're drinking from. But the point of this analysis is that delivery network adding a source of PFAS? One point in time, one test, I would say no, based on this, because it's 7 and 11. The board asked us to do a couple more. I already spoke with, I have one lined up for this week, for actually Thursday. We'll do another one if you want. We'll do 3 of them. And then you guys can tell me what you want.
So this is the only one that you've
This is the only one
done?
that's done, and I got the data back. So I think if I had 3 that said that same thing, I would feel pretty confident in
I
saying
agree, I agree.
that
Yeah,
the well doesn't, the pump isn't adding anything.
right.
Let me get the second one in, and based on the results of that, then we'll do the third one. Because I'm trying not to, I'm trying to do these as we go, so not make special trips and try to keep your costs down. Because really, it's one extra test. But once you open the well and you chlorinate, it's kind of a pain.
This thing's cut off on the
I
side
know,
over here.
it is.
Do you have one that's not cut off?
I do, I have the full one, I'll give you. I just did this just so you could see the actual total, that's all. But yeah, I'll give you the whole thing, Steve. So, let me just see, I think that was my last action item that I had for you guys. Yes. Yeah, I don't have any other items. Any questions relative to any of those 6 items?
Not for me.
I will say, on the 7th item that we didn't talk about, but we always talk about the mowing of that landfill. I went by the other day from the Flint Road side, looked up, I was showing my kids or something the landfill, and you've commented on, it looks really good. And I looked at it and I was like, wow, that looks really good, like someone's lawn, really good.
You should, you should drive down, I'll tell you guys what to do, drive down Burlingame Road.
I did.
Look back at that landfill. You guys as a board should be proud.
I did, and I saw that slope going up. I was with my son, and Tyler goes, "Dad, what's that?" And I got into the landfill conversation, but from afar. But it looked very, very good as far as, I've seen them with, poplar trees this big growing up and no maintenance, and that thing looked like you could play soccer on it if it wasn't so steep. But it does look very good.
I'd like to add to that, if you don't mind, that Bruce did do the patchwork that I asked, and he billed you guys for it, and I don't know what he billed you for the patchwork, but
800.
he billed you $800.
I believe that was it, yeah.
The facial expression says that's low. The physicalness of that.
Could be wrong, but I'm almost positive.
But
Hauling the dirt uphill and,
he had a wheelbarrow, so that landfill has all these mounds,
Yeah.
and the tops of the mounds have been damaged by the tops of a limited number of the mounds have been damaged by other people, and the cap was exposed. So he had a wheelbarrow, 6 or 12 inches of topsoil, double layer it with a fabric, and then seed it. And he did like 8 or 9 spots, and they've already started to grow, look great. His comment to me was, "I don't want to ever do that again."
so he'll be extra careful with the mowing machine
Well,
on
he's not the one that damaged it. It was others.
No, I know.
But Matt, I can't agree with you more. This board paid for 3 mowings last year because we only did 1 the year before, and it was my recommendation to do 3 to get that grass to strengthen a little bit because we had so much water the year before, and the lawn had been cut long. The grass was really struggling, but yeah, I've walked it a few times this year, and it's really good. So you're not obligated to have the most beautiful landfill. You're obligated to control that landfill to eliminate erosion, critters, and keep all your water pathways good. On that note, in the next 3 to 5 years, and I would say while we're capping the other one, we should probably do this. The detention basin on the backside of the landfill, so at the Burlingame Road side, is starting to fill up with some debris because it's been, my God, it's close to 10 years now. So that you're allowed to, it's not a wetland, you're allowed to maintain that basin. So at some point, probably when the contractor's right next door, maybe we get a little change order, have them go over and clean out that catch basin. But it's a big detention basin at the bottom, and it's got the Phragmites and everything's kind of growing in there, and you need to keep that cleaned out so that you have enough storage capacity before it goes over the overflow. Everything's working perfect. Doesn't need to be. It's probably good for 10 more years.
Yeah,
But
now's the time.
we should maintain it at some point.
Preventive maintenance.
Yep. But that landfill's in. As a board, you should be. You got good people. That it's well maintained.
No saplings?
You should be proud of your dump.
No saplings
Oh,
in
he's
the
proud of my
detention
dump.
pond?
No, he's taken, this year, so on that note, it was so dry, your contractor was able to get in and mow those basins out, and then whatever he couldn't mow, he used a weed whacker with a little chainsaw thing on it and cleaned, there's no saplings, everything's gone. Really, really nice job.
At one time, that was starting to get pretty woody.
Well, we said woody vegetation on some of the swales, you know, they were built with big riprap stone, and they kind of get built up with debris, and, but they really look good. Yeah, I mean, there's some continuing maintenance to do on those, but
Yeah.
they're good.
To go back to your, you had talked about the PFAS, the,
Surface water?
yeah,
Okay.
and we talked about how it's running uphill or whatever, but you kind of changed the subject and you never finished telling us, you said you had a theory, but you
Oh,
kind
and
of,
yeah.
you kind of cut us off right there.
Okay. My theory is, I don't know why it's higher at the, so at the, right at Flint Road, we sampled right at Flint Road, just before the driveway to the DPW. 100 feet before the driveway to the DPW, there is a little stream that runs under, and that stream runs on the south side of the landfill. That's where our upgrading sample is. There's a property directly up here that the town of Charlton owns, which is 15 Old Town Road. There's another property that's a Mass DEP disposal site at 11 Old Town Road that is in non-compliance. There is not a stream running through there, but we've tried to sample around that area to help evaluate that, to see if it's possible, where it's coming from.
Can you put a well in?
We're gonna, that's the next phase, after the surface water, is to go up on the town's property and put a couple monitoring wells so we can evaluate that. That's part of the phase 2 we have to do, which is what we have to do to tell DEP, or to argue to DEP and request stopping of sampling further away and reducing some of the sampling that we think doesn't have the fingerprint of the landfill. DEP has told us you have to do a full phase 2, and you have to understand the whole degree and extent, look at all the other sources and figure it out. Once you figure all that out, you say these 27 homes have the same fingerprint as the landfill, they appear to be related to the landfill. We're gonna try to take the other ones and say that these are just, PFAS is everywhere in the environment. And this is the whole discussion we had, we just can't keep looking for it everywhere. So, while it may be located on homes on Dresser Hill Road, far from the landfill, it may not be related to the landfill, therefore it's not your obligation. But we have a very heavy lift to prove that to DEP. And that's, this is what we're doing. These are the steps we're taking, starting to answer those questions and submit that out, that request. It's a heavy lift though.
I know how they work. No, you're gonna prove, you're guilty until you're proven innocent, basically.
Yeah, you have PFAS in your water at your landfill, and you have moderately high concentrations. 400 to 600 is pretty high. There's, so you got
No, but I'm
to prove the
saying
opposite.
with the surrounding
Yeah.
stuff. you're
The surrounding
guilty
stuff is
until
very,
you-
yeah, the surrounding stuff is very, very low,
Hmm.
the monitoring wells. So I don't have the data from that surface water test yet, we just did it, but it should be in within a week. So we'll get that all tabulated, create a map, and I'll send it over to Jim, share with the board.
Interesting.
It'd be interesting, I'm very interested in it. I don't know if it's gonna answer questions, but it's probably gonna
Curious,
ask
I
more.
guess, yeah.
It's probably gonna, yeah, I'm curious.
I've witnessed water flow uphill with my own 2 eyes. Sounds crazy, but I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. We've talked about this same exact spot, and I said, water flows uphill, I've seen it. The tide was involved, and it's a whole different situation, but
It was just a joke.
no, it flows uphill. Up in that, what is it,
Well-
St. John up there?
Bedrock,
yeah. Oh.
And once you get into
That's
bedrock.
Canada.
That's
different.
Canada, it's different up there. The water flows different up there.
Reversing falls, I've been
Jim
there.
was there.
Yeah, reversing
I know he
falls.
was there.
Yeah.
It was.
Reversing falls.
So,
But, no, in
anything's
bedrock, in bedrock, a house that sits 50 feet higher than a monitoring well at a landfill could easily be connected, have a connection, because the well's 600 feet deep. So, and that's not uphill, topographically it's uphill, the water's not flowing uphill. But we have not answered those questions yet. Steve,
Some more-
you can take this.
That's, I just wanted to see what,
Yeah.
what that column said, that's all. There's some 900,000 foot holes over there, right close to that too.
So, that's really all I have for you.
Thank you, Gary. Do you want to attend the next meeting in roughly 4 weeks, or you want to just
So,
play it
what
by
I-
ear?
when I found out about this one, I offered to attend because I haven't been in a couple meetings and I wanted to bring you up to speed on these 6 items. I don't think I'm gonna have anything earth-shattering in 4 weeks. I'm gonna get the data in from the landfill testing, which I don't think is gonna change anything. I may have the surface water, but I can send that over to you guys. I'm always available, but if you don't, why don't we just, if I get some earth-shattering data,
Yes.
I'll plan on attending.
Yep.
If I don't, I won't. How's that?
Sounds fair. Yeah. That's kind of how we play it. But I wanted to make sure that you were okay with it.
John,
Yes, Jim.
may I?
Matt,
Yeah.
sorry. Looking at Jim, thinking of Jim.
I'm sure I have it incorrect,
Sugar.
but
Yeah.
I thought I saw an email talking about this notice of deficiency had been approved. And so when you're saying it's still pending approval, I thought that was different than what the email that I saw.
The middle of the package was approved.
Okay, thank you.
You take it, goes into a computer system, we got it.
And that's the email that I got.
Yes,
So
sir.
the submittal was approved,
Yeah.
but not the actual
Yeah.
data of the process.
That's like when you go for a car and they'll say, all car loan applications will be accepted versus all car loan applications will be approved. I laughed every time I see that on a commercial.
Yeah, but that's what that is. It's, yeah, we don't
Okay.
have, we will get a letter. Actually, it'll be addressed to Jim.
Okay.
The letter will be forthcoming in it. I think it might have as much as 120 days or 90 days. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't want to misspeak, but that'll be forthcoming. Gotta sign in.
Okay. Well, Gary, if nothing else, then we'll move on. Jim, do you have anything to add for PFAS or anything
No,
else?
Gary is, the man explained it all. I do agree that Mr. Burlingame goes above and beyond for the landfill. I don't think you could hire someone that would take, I mean, the guy literally gets out on his hands and knees and picks, and it's a family event there.
Who did that, Bruce?
Bruce, phenomenal job. The man is, I don't think we could get any better, and I honestly think Gary would think the same, and Matt. I walked through there myself, and even when you drive by, you say, that is a well-maintained landfill.
Nice stuff.
Yep.
Nice. Along those lines, is he got, I think we gave him a 2-year contract, or was it?
I think he's in the second year.
Second year.
We'll have to approve him for it's up to the board, but where we want for the next 2, but that'd be up to the board. So
Yeah.
we'll have to bring it at some point, put it on the agenda.
Okay. So something to think about, if Andrea's doing the minutes or something, she can check, or Kim, or whoever.
No, Andrew sets the minutes, but it's your agenda, so
Yeah.
whatever
Well, I
you
just
want
don't
on
want,
it.
I don't want it to get like too far down the road so that.
No, I'll keep an eye on it and have Andrea let
Okay.
you know that it's time to put it on the agenda for the board to move forward on that.
I don't know, Jim, you got a lot of scribbling on that page. You gonna be able to keep that all separate?
I wrote animal shelter because you put dog pound.
Oh.
I didn't want to insult the ACO officer.
Animal shelter.
So,
Did I say dog pound?
yeah.
I'm sorry.
I know you did.
Yes, he did.
Did
Dog pound.
I? Okay, animal shelter.
Drew's saying yes.
You did?
Okay.
That's all right, that's not that bad.
15 Old Town Road. How's that?
I was
Just don't say
writing, that's
master
all,
bedroom,
you know?
okay? It's primary bedroom now,
All right.
not no longer master bedroom. All right.
Did they change that too?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
look on Realtor.com, and you can't, I don't think you can see that. Jim, department head reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to, we're getting all the permits out. We're chasing a lot of people for, we do online permitting now, so I had to call a few people, stragglers, to get their permits paid for. I think we only have 5 or 6 left that need to pay for their permits.
Is that for food?
Food, yeah, for Old Fence, truckers, all permits pertaining to this board that are issued. Yeah, Old
trash
Fence,
haulers.
trash haulers.
Trash haulers.
They're all like, some of them take out 45, and we have to get the stickers that are late because the one we usually get them from, they stopped doing it, didn't tell us, so Bay Path's making them. I'll be at Bay Path tomorrow anyway, doing inspections with Kim and Molly, and we'll see if they're ready. And we have to mail them all out to all the haulers. So I had a discussion with one of the haulers because he was hauling trash in a pickup, or 1/2 ton, with no cover, and I said, "You can't do that." And he said, "Yes, I can. I got a DEP sticker." I said, "I don't care. Take the sticker off. You can't. It's like, if you want to put a dumpster somewhere, but you go house to house picking up trash in Charlton, you better make sure it's a covered load and an approved truck." So we got a little back and forth, but he agreed. He took the truck off the road and brought a truck. It's just not, trash is blowing all over the place. People don't put them in bags. They rip. You can't have that. So I had him pick up some trash on Denfield, and that blew out. And he complied. So. But Andrea and Kim both worked hard, especially Andrea, on getting those all out. And she has a naughty list she sent to me, and I have to make the call and be a bad guy. So, really, truly.
How long is the list?
Kim, is it up to 8 now or 5?
It was 11, I think we're down to 7 or 8.
Yeah. Mr. Bill Plant was one of them. He
Yeah.
got online. A lot of it's the computer really trips people up.
Well,
And
why
think that
they issued the permit before the payment is made?
they have to pay for the permit.
Yeah.
Like a hauler, the trucks need a sticker to go on that,
Yeah.
and they have to pay. So you pay for the truck, registration number, everything's mailed in, and they have to report back who they're picking up from, so this board knows that what house, if there was a problem with the trash, we know who the hauler is. And DEP requires that, and they have to submit their tonnage. So all trash is monitored, and they have to offer recycling and stuff, so. It's pretty standard for, hopeful offense for haulers and stuff. Septic haulers also. All the permits that we issue are going out for food.
Well, that's not too bad. If
For
there's only
restaurant.
11 that have not complied yet.
Yeah, it's not.
Was it higher? It must have been higher than that last week, or?
Don't tell Andrea that's not a big deal, because she gave me that naughty list to me. Get on top of it, so.
Is she watching right now?
She'll
She will.
hear tomorrow, because it's right there, so.
Yeah.
She does an excellent job, but she gave me the naughty list, and I'm on top of that. And Molly, who's our new regional inspector, has been in Sturbridge assisting with them until they can hire someone. I did speak to the chairman of their board. She called me and had a long discussion, and I think they have hired someone else. So she'll be coming with us tomorrow to Bay Path so I can train her to do schools. And Molly's doing very well. Kim's continuing her education going forward and working with me. We're doing a lot of housing for, it's cold. When it gets cold, we get calls for lack of heat. We bought temperature sensors that are on her desk. We leave them in the room. We monitor the temperature for 48 hours. Find out that they're putting a heater next to a thermostat, and that's why it's not calling, and the plumber's there, and landlord's upset, but we're getting it all done, so we've had back and forth with that. They did inspection of the Egyptian church. They need to comply. They've been out of compliance. They had some illness reported for some kids, so we handled that. We have our COVID nurses still working and doing stuff. Mass Pike East, we had a problem. The trash company did not pick up the trash for a week, and there was more trash out of it than in it, Matt. So I called McDonald's, and they had to physically bring a truck out and get it, otherwise they were gonna fire him and hire someone else. So it's cleaned up, but it was bad. You wouldn't have been happy. But that was called in by the fire department, who did an emergency on the pipe, and the new chief, Barton, Robbie Barton, let me know that, hey, do something about the trash. So I did. So we're working closely with him too about sheltering, working with Andrew, the EMD director, to assure that town Charlton, in the event that it gets really cold, that we have heating shelters and summer cooling shelters. So we're working on that moving forward. I continue to be the chairman of Region 2, and I will be attending the NACCHO conference in San Antonio, Texas in April, which is a national health thing.
Baking your dream?
Yeah, no, my wife's coming, so I can't do it. So, but anyway, that's another thing. Kim has attended a conference also in Springfield to continue her education. And we still have Mary downstairs, a carpenter, who's doing a very good job. She's working with homeless people and working with people trying to, the senior population also, or anyone may need help in sheltering, apartments, fuel assistance, housing assistance, and doing very well. So I think I'd like to, Mr. Chairman, if I can, the next meeting is to have Mary come up and
Sure.
again and update the board on what's going on.
Yeah,
It's very,
that's
very,
good. Yeah,
it's
put her
very,
on the agenda.
what she does for the communities, for the coalition, is something that may not be on the forefront, but is so important to people. And I think the board should know about it, so I'd like to invite her to the next meeting if I could.
Yes, absolutely. And Jim, remind me, is she just for Charlton or is she part of the coalition?
She's the coalition.
Coalition,
Yeah,
okay.
so she's Charlton, Sturbridge, Sutton, Spencer, and Wales.
Okay.
And anything that happens there, anyone needs assistance, housing, having difficulties, she's also a licensed social worker.
Mm.
She does a good job.
And she's gotta be busy this time of year then, isn't she?
She's extremely busy,
Yeah.
you know, getting calls from everybody and just really, you know, boots on the ground and working the phones and getting assistance for people who need food, shelter, housing. Very, very difficult in this day and age to find sheltering for a homeless veteran and his wife. You know, we ended up buying him a tent, we bought him pillowcases and pillows and mattresses, and they were displaced from their hotel and had to stay out in the tent. And that's, no veteran should have to
No.
suffer something like that. So we ended up getting him shelter where Mary did, and we worked hard on that, along with Cheryl Rowinski.
If you need blankets specifically or throws, I can get you brand new ones for, I'll donate them. I get them for $1 at my place of employment, and they're nice.
It'd be great, we can put them in our, we do have some emergency blankets when we do setups for sheltering, but they're very itchy wool type.
I'm gonna be
Yeah.
at the office tomorrow. So how many,
25,
25?
20, 10, anything you can do.
Because these are, a full blanket's
Just 10.
gonna be. Okay.
Just 10.
Got it.
And that I can add to our inventory of our sheltering trailer
Happy to do it.
that we're keeping up with.
What about throws? So they're just smaller than blankets? They're like 50
Yeah,
by
those,
60?
if we do our sheltering for a warming station downstairs, we
Yeah.
can use those.
Okay. I can get you 5 to 10 of those too.
So we did have our trailer repaired. We're monitoring that. Andrew is the new EMD director, because Robbie Barton has taken over as chief, and we're working together to ensure that we have the proper things when we need to set up a shelter or do vaccinations or do anything we need.
What are we driving now? We still got that E-van?
No.
Yes, it's got a recall, 3 of them as a matter of fact, and Kim and I will be bringing it to the Ford place in Auburn, and when it's done, it's going to be given to the animal shelter, animal control officer, because she can put the big cages in the back, and we'll be getting another vehicle that I put in for capital. That is a 4-wheel drive, small SUV, because it has to be green and economical because of the community. But the van was not allowed to put any seats in the back, so I could only bring one person in this huge thing, and on dry road, it wouldn't go up a hill. And Kim can attest to that because she tried to jump out. I told her, don't, we're on Carpenter Hill. So there's a recall because it doesn't drive the wheels, so I don't drive it because I'm feeling safe.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but.
And that's why I'm laughing.
So you had that, right? It is there, it looks good.
He did.
It looks good, but it's certainly, we don't want anyone else to drive it until
Oh,
it's repaired.
boy.
So I talked to Andrew today.
Best laugh I've had all day.
It's gonna be repaired and hopefully it doesn't happen again. So it just sort of doesn't wanna go up a hill, so.
If it does, video it.
I think the Ford place asked, Kim, how many miles on it? She goes, not many.
No, huh?
No, it's not many, but it's certainly, we have a staff meeting coming up. We have actually a lot of staff. We have Michaela, Rihanna, Cheryl, Tom, Andrea, Mary, Kim, and myself.
Sounds like a Christmas
Molly.
party.
I know, right?
So, but Molly's working, she does a very good job. She had some problems in Sturbridge today. She called and asked about HVAC and cleaning and stuff, and unfortunately, they're gonna have to clean that, but it's
So what's with the staff meeting?
goals and objectives for the year. Anything the board, I have to make sure that we're all working as a cohesive unit and make sure that they know that Mary's there, and if someone has a problem and Molly's in the field, that she knows she can call me as a lead or call Mary to assist her. We don't want to leave anyone, if we feel we can help them fully, is to not fully go the full length to help people. And if Molly King was in another community, like in Wales, she found a family that really needed assistance, had a tarp over the roof and stuff, and now that's what Mary's working on to assist Molly, who did the inspection.
Is this board invited?
We're always invited. We serve at the will of the board.
Can you let us know when that meeting is?
Sure. It's tentative because I have to coordinate with all the people to get them here at the same time.
Yeah, I get it.
But I will certainly extend it. If we have to, if more than one member wants to come, we'll have to post a meeting, that's all.
Yeah.
You should be able to meet everyone that, I think we do, I'm not just patting myself on that, we do a great job, we have large staff, we actually have a large coalition that covers lots of towns
Mm.
that are taking care of issues, so I think we take the lead, and we have for a long time, and hopefully we continue to do that and strive forward to assist everyone around us. And Molly's doing a good job, Mary's doing a great job, and Tom's doing a great job. I think, you know, when someone wants
Don't forget Kim.
Kim is always doing a great job. So,
That's right.
people in other towns,
Made her blush.
when they,
Good.
when they take out permits and they want a plan review, I can honestly tell you that Tom is, you go to another town and you're waiting and you're waiting and waiting, and this, Andrea and Kim are both, and myself and Tom, we all work, that paperwork is out, that approval is done. And we work closely with Permit Eyes. If Kurt has something, we have to approve it. We make sure that we're checking everything and everything's done. So there's gonna be a new, if someone is applying for a business permit, there's a new paperwork that's coming out that Kurt and CMRPC worked on, that's gonna let you know the process. There's never been a process that would guide someone if you're starting a business, what you need to do, and this is gonna help that, so.
Nice.
And we had to do our input, and that should be coming out soon, and I'll forward it to the board, so. Other than that, we're just moving forward, and I'll let the board know when we have that meeting, and we'll, they should know who they directly work for, and they serve at the will of the board, and they're your employees, so,
Sounds good.
okay?
Anything else?
No?
How about next meeting? 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks?
Doesn't matter to me, John.
I'm always here.
I know you're always here. Steve, anybody got any vacations planned?
No, so today's the 7th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 11th or the 18th-ish.
What's this? That's President's.
President's Day.
I'll be out that week, because
You
it's
will,
my wife's
all right, so-
birthday and mine.
That, I
Taking
think you
her-
said 5 weeks for the 11th?
5 weeks would
5
be the
weeks?
11th.
February 11th?
I'm okay with that.
11?
What's that?
February 11th?
I got
should
no
be
life,
around.
I'll be here.
Yeah, let's go for it.
I know, like,
It doesn't
all right.
matter.
February 11th. Andrea, February 11th.
Same time. Is this your, that's
Same
yours,
place?
isn't it?
Same place?
This paperwork?
Nice
No,
place.
this.
No, I tossed that to you. I took the
Oh.
blue ones.
Gary, do you want one of these?
No, sir.
Thank you.
You're gonna have to get some insulin for this guy, he's freaking gonna be.
Only 2.
Andrea told me to make sure everyone eats it. We got another bag in there.
I went for the blue
Gosh.
ones.
All right, if there's nothing else, we can entertain a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
My second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 7:23. Thank you, everyone.